Adding and subtracting integers. We use integers for all sorts of things. So negative numbers and positive numbers are used for money. They're used to represent altitudes, how high or above or below sea level something is. So we use integers all the time, and I'm going to go over a way that's the best way, I think. So let's look at this question. How much money do you have if you earn $3.05? And the way we're going to do that is with a number line. All right, now that you have your number line, we're going to always start with our beginning number. So we earned 3. What integer represents you earned 3? If you said positive 3, then you're right. So we're going to say this is 3, and then it says we owe 5. Well, if we owe it, we don't have it, so we're going to be taking that away from whatever we have. So that's a negative number. So that's a negative 5. So this is 3 minus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put a dot on 3. And this is the plus direction. This is the minus direction. Let's start by putting that on our number line. And we're going to go in the negative direction, because this is a negative, 5 spots. So this is our negative direction to the left. So we're going to go 1 unit, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we end up at negative 2. So for our first example, this was 3 minus 5 equals negative 2. And anytime you're ever having trouble with adding and subtracting integers, always go back to the number line. All right, let's try another one. Example 2. A fish was 4 feet below sea level before rising 5 feet to eat an insect. Where is the fish now? All right, I'll give you a second to copy that. And we're going to draw a number line, but this time I want to draw it up and down just because the fish is rising up and it started below. All right, let's think about where this fish is starting. The fish is 4 feet below sea level. So 4 feet below is going to mean that we want to put it, this is sea level right here, right at 0. So we're going to put the fish at 1, 2, 3, 4 feet below. I'm going to use his mouth to be that marker. And it says that the fish rises 5 feet to eat an insect. So the fish is going to rise up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to eat that insect. So that insect must be right about there, huh? Alright, so where is the insect? It's at positive 1. So we're going to represent this by the fish started at negative 4 and it rose 5, so that means we went in the positive direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to say negative 4 plus 5. And where is that insect? It's at 1. So see, this is so easy to model on a number line. Oh wow, nothing like a good bug to start the day. Alright, now that we're adding and subtracting integers, there's one thing you need to know. No double signs. And this means when two signs are right next to each other. Alright, and I'm going to go over those types. So we could have a negative negative. So minus a negative. I'm going to circle that. Minus a negative really means plus. And then there's another kind. There's adding a negative. And then there's also subtracting a positive. And both of these represent a minus. So we're going to switch these. Anytime we see a minus minus, And the way I show that is, it just looks like you have two parts to the plus sign. So if you just draw the line in between them, it looks like a plus sign. So anytime you see a minus minus, turn it into a plus. Anytime you see a plus minus or a minus plus next to each other, change them into a minus. Alright, so easy enough, right? And that just tells you if it's a minus, we're going in the negative direction. If it's a plus, we're going in the positive direction. Alright, awesome. Alright, so think, this is a memory tool, can't not. Does that make any sense? Well, we don't speak like this, but if we did, it would mean that we can. So you can't have two negatives. See, these are two negatives. That contraction means not and then another not, so that's like two negatives next to each other. And that really means a positive, like we can. So that's another way to remember that minus minus means plus. And let's put it into another scenario you might get. If Mom told you that don't not run away from me, that would mean run away from me. So you can never use two negatives in a row when you talk. We can't use that in math either. But hey, don't run away from your mom. Alright, let's try some questions now on your own. We'll write down our directions. It's change these double signs to single signs, then evaluate. And remember, evaluate is just a fancy word for solve. And you can see the word value is our root word there, so finding the value or solving mean the same thing. Alright, remember we're going to use a number line. And for number 1, I guess I'll just get you started with number 1. You're going to start at the first number, so start at -4, and then we're going to go and, well, we have a double sign. Whoops. So what's next? Plus a minus, what does that mean? Minus. So it's -4 minus 1. And now I'm going to read this as I start at -4, which I've already done. So there's my -4. And I go in the minus direction. Remember, this is your minus direction. This is your positive direction. So I'm going to go in the negative direction one spot. And where do I end up? -5. Alright, you take a second and try 2 and 3. Please pause the video and then look for my solutions. Alright, and here we go. Let's go over these. So we have 3 minus a -1. That minus minus really means plus. So it's 3 plus 1. And that's pretty easy. We start at 3, go in the positive direction 1. So that would be 4. Alright, and then number 3 over here, 2 plus a -4, we have a double sign. Adding a negative really means a minus. So 2 minus 4. So I'm going to start at 2. That's right here. And I'm going to go in the minus direction 4. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I end up at -2. Alright, hopefully you got those. If not, check it out again. So number line is our go-to way of doing adding and subtracting integers. Is there another way? Well, sure, there's always another way, or at least most of the time in math. So how do we add and subtract integers without a number line? Well, the first thing we do is we change our double signs to single signs. So that's really the same step if we use a number line or if we don't. And our second step, if the signs of the numbers are the same, we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's say we had -4 plus -2. Well, first step, we got to change our double signs here to single signs. So adding a negative is really just subtracting. So it's -4 minus 2. Well, those have the same sign. They're both negative. That's a negative, that's a negative. So really all we do is add these together. So 4 plus 2 gives us 6, and we keep the sign so it's a -6. All right, now I'm going to show you on the number line how that works and how you can see it visually. So here we're starting at -4 and then we're going in the negative direction 2. So think of it like this. We're already a negative number and we're going in the negative direction. So since we're going in the same direction as what we already are, a negative number, that's why we just make it more negative or add it on to make it more negative. Just like if we were positive, think if you were doing 3 plus 2, then it's already a positive 3. You're adding 2 because you're going in the positive direction, so now you end up with 5. So anytime those signs are the same, you're going in the same direction as what you already are. So that's called addition. Just make sure that you keep the sign. Alright, and then just one more step, and this is if you have signs that are different. So if the signs are different, we're going to subtract the smaller number from the larger number, and then we're going to keep the sign of the larger number. And by larger, I mean the number with the greater absolute value. So for instance, -8 is larger than 4, because it's 8 away from the 0 on a number line, whereas the 4 is only 4 away. So for example, let's say we did 3 minus 8. Well, do we have any double signs? No. So our first step's already finished. And second step, the signs are the same, so we're not on that one. We're on the third step, so they are different. So we're going to subtract the smaller number from the larger number. Which one's smaller? 3 is smaller than -8. So since 3 is smaller, we're really going to think 8 minus 3, which gives us 5. And which number is the larger number? Because we're going to keep that sign. The larger number is 8. And 8 is a negative. That's a -8. Always look at the sign in front of the number, and that tells us it's a -8. So that's why it's going to be a -5. Alright, I'm going to show that on the number line so you can see that and hopefully make the connection. But again, if you get stuck, always try it with the number line. Alright, so check it out. If we're doing 3 minus 8, we're starting over here at 3, which is positive, but we're going in the negative direction. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're starting with a positive number, but we're going in the negative direction. So those aren't the same signs. So since they're different signs, that's going to tell us subtract. Just like if we were doing, for instance, -2 plus 4. -2 plus 4 would mean we're at a -2 and we're going in the positive direction 4. So that's going to give us a 2. But they're opposite signs. So anytime the signs are opposite, we're going to be subtracting. Alright, so same signs, add them up, keep the sign. Different signs, subtract them, and keep the sign of the larger number. Alright, I want you guys to try 3 on your own. Try it without the number line, and if you need to resort to using it, you can. And you often see textbooks like on number 3, they'll just put parentheses around a negative number. That's just to keep it neat and organized. And really what I find it does is just confuse students. So if you see those parentheses there, you can just get rid of them. Okay, so anytime you see parentheses, just ignore them. They're just trying to make it look neat. All right, pause the video and try those 3 questions, and then I'll have the solutions for you to check. And here for the solutions. Double sign, so it's -3 minus 2. And now the signs are the same, so we just add them up. So 3 plus 2 is 5, and we keep the sign. Number 2, signs are minus minus, which means it's a plus. Remember, you can just draw that plus sign in there. So it's -1 plus 2. And now they're different signs, so we subtract them. 2 minus 1 is 1. Our larger number is 2, and it's a positive. So it's just positive 1. Number 3, plus and minus really means minus, so we're going to make these double signs be a minus sign, so 5 minus 6. And since they are different signs, we subtract them. 6 minus 5 gives us 1. And which one's larger? The 6. Since the 6 is larger, it has a negative sign, which means that's a -1. Alright, those are your 3 answers. Hope you did well. And that wraps up adding and subtracting integers.